from the signs of the hour. Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in another hadith, إن أخوف ما أخاف عليكم عمل قوم لوط. That which I fear the most for you is the actions of the people of Lot. Lot alayhi salatu wasalam, his story is pretty clear and transparent in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of what he came to convey to his people. Of course, the message of Tawheed and eradicating the filth of shirk, while at the same time they dealt with the societal diseases that were out there at the time. Right? Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us over 1400 years ago, that which I fear the most for you, my brothers and my sisters, is the practices of the people of Lot. We spoke about zina, and now we're speaking about homosexual practices. And I just want to make something very, very clear, just in case we have someone here that works for Channel 4, right? I'm not here to incite violence, right? I am not here to incite hatred. I'm a compassionate Imam who spreads peace. And I just quote. I just do what Jacob Rees-Mogg does. You guys know who Jacob Rees-Mogg is? One of Boris Johnson's previous right-hand men. Right? Jacob Rees-Mogg is a Catholic conservative MP. Right? He was one time invited over onto the Good Morning Show, which was being hosted at the time by Piers Morgan. You guys heard of Piers Morgan? Who has his own show now, right? Called, what's it called again? Huh? Yeah, Uncensored, something like that. Piers Morgan, Uncensored. They were interrogating this Orthodox Catholic conservative MP, asking him what his position on same-sex marriages is. And every single time he would say, according to the teachings of the church, and nobody could get him cancelled. Nobody could say anything about him, and he kept his position. As opposed to others who fell into the trap of voicing and expressing their own views and opinions. The moment I say, I, Abu Taymiyyah, think this, I may land myself into hot water. So I just want to make that very, very clear. I'm just quoting what is mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah, and the likes of Piers Morgan, and also Jacob Rees-Mogg, right? And the haqq, my brothers and my sisters, the truth is becoming blurred. Normative Islam is under attack. Statements such as, this is not a sin, when Allah Azza wa Jal clearly and explicitly mentioned in the Quran what Lot alayhi salatu wasalam came to wage war against. And I'm just quoting again, Abu Taymiyyah does not have his own views and opinions. Sahih. What does that lead to? The truth, my brothers and my sisters, becoming so blurred. Normative Islam being played around with, up until you will see young kids going into a masjid singing the national anthem. Sahih. And then they are asked about the queen that has passed away. You hear statements such as, the queen deserves to be in the paradise. Queen deserves to be in Jannah. It was all over the BBC brothers and the Channel 4. I'm not making things up, right? Young boys and girls. What was maybe from the musallamat once upon a time, the things that were clear-cut, carved into stone, right? From our beliefs and our morals and values, all of a sudden now, it's being debated. It's being discussed. Maybe it needs to be revised, right? It's a sad reality that we are dealing with in the 21st century. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam also mentioned another hadith. بادروا بالأعمال فتنا كقطع الليل المظلم. Hasten to doing good deeds. The fitan, the trials and the tribulations that you will come across are like the dark patches of the night. What happens, my brothers and my sisters, when you are walking in a forest in the middle of the night, right? Dark patches of the night. It's dark in this forest. Sahih. You'll see yourself tripping over. This is what the fitan does to an individual, right? The fitnas, This is what it does to an individual. He'll see himself stumbling over left, right and center. Does that make sense? Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling us, hasten to doing good deeds. The fitna are like the dark patches of the night. يُصْبِحُ الْإِنسَانُ مُؤْمِنًا وَيُمْسِي كَافِرًا. Wakes up in the morning as a mu'min, right? As a believer. And then by the night, he becomes a disbeliever, brothers and sisters. By the night, he becomes a disbeliever. وَيُمْسِي الْإِنسَانُ مُؤْمِنًا وَيُصْبِحُ كَافِرًا. And it might well be once the night enters, he's a believer, and then by the morning he has disbelieved. يَبِيعُ دِينَهُ بِعَرَضٍ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا. He sells his religion for a small offer that equates to this dunya. Right? He sells his religion, my brothers and my sisters, for a small portion of this dunya. You know, I used to look at this hadith and think, how does an individual become a disbeliever so quickly? Right? The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us this 1400 years ago. He becomes a disbeliever so quickly. Right? And then two things actually help me understand and comprehend this hadith better. One of them is the statement of Ibn al-Qayyim rahmatullahi alayhi, when he said, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, al-ma'siyatu baridul kufr. You know the sin that we fall into? It is the first spark to disbelief. When you sin, you don't become a non-Muslim, no. However, what he's saying here is the first spark. One thing leads to another, to another, to another, up until he leaves the fold of Islam. Again, we might take these sins so lightly, think there's nothing much of it, up until we see ourselves shooting out of the religion. Right? And then the second thing that really made it for me, my brothers and my sisters, was, and I think everyone can testify to this, are these social media apps. Right? That we all have access to, that even now toddlers have access to. You have kids as young as 1.5 years of age, they know how to access Umar and Hannah. As young as what? 1.5 years of age, they know how to go on Instagram, they know how to go on YouTube. They don't even know how to scroll, my brothers and my sisters. Please tell me if I'm lying or if I'm wrong. Sahih. They know how to access what grown-ups are able to access. Kids as young as 1.5 years of age, my brothers and my sisters, they also know how to pray. Right? They know how to pray. They'll get up, they'll go into ruku', and then they'll stick their head in the sujood position. They pick a lot up at a very, very young age. Right? I know sometimes, my brothers and my sisters, we feel that we have to hand over these gadgets to our children. Otherwise they will feel left out because all of their other cousins have it. And I don't want them to feel as if they are being deprived. However, my brothers and my sisters, it comes with a huge responsibility. As Allah told us, right? ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ. You're going to be asked about your na'im, your blessings, on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Prophet ﷺ explained this. He said na'im here means al-aswadan, meaning dates that we eat and also the water that we drink. You're going to be asked about these, subhanAllah, things that are so simple. If we're going to be asked about that, we're not going to be asked about these gadgets that we hand over to them. Right? We hand it over to them, kids as young as what, 4 or 5 years of age. Wallahi alladhi la ilaha ghayruh. Take this from me, my brothers and my sisters. They are accessing filth and garbage on TikTok. Right? We've seen that mujrim, I don't know whether I should use he or she, called Jeff Marsh. You guys know what I'm talking about? If you don't know, don't ever know. Right? This guy or this transgender or whatever he is, who has rooms that you subscribe to that is specific for just kids. Send your kids to me. And the guy is wearing makeup, or should I say she is wearing makeup. Maybe he's binary or he doesn't have a pronoun. Wearing makeup, and he's saying, bring your children to me. I just want to speak to your children. Kids are watching him. Right? But it's fine, right? Because the world's changing. We are moving into an era that is a lot more advanced. We need to be a lot more open-minded, right? This is what they tell us. Gender fluidity. And there's a video that I tweeted the other day where a lady came and knocked on a guy's door and she said, why is your daughter always wearing pink? Right? Why is your daughter always wearing pink? We need to be a little bit more open-minded, and we need to give them different colors because later on she may choose a different pronoun. This is what is being shoved down their throats and rubbed on their faces on social media, brothers and sisters. Right? Just about everything around us, my brothers and my sisters, is making us desensitized to the filth and the evil that we have been cultivated upon to stay away from. From a very young age we've been hearing things that are haram, right? But everything around us is just penetrating our hearts, right? It's being shoved down our throats, rubbed on our faces. I don't know about Dewsbury, but you drive into London, even the zebra crossing that is black and white has now become extremely colorful. Right? So there's an ideological attack. And the moment you open your mouths, right, you are stormed with these jamming tactics of shutting you down. Not allowed to say anything. Well, that's how they make us feel. Before I started being vocal about these things that I'm talking about now, my brothers and my sisters, and I've gone to a lot of universities, 27 universities, and some of these blue-head feminists, they tried to shut down my programs. And of course the Rainbow team, but they failed, right? I went to all these universities and I'll be open about what I talk about. However, I would quote the scripture. I wouldn't express my own views and opinions. How did this come about? For a whole year I was in touch with solicitors, right? People of expertise in this field who would advise me on how to speak about these things, because if you don't speak about normative Islam, my brothers and my sisters, and it's unfortunate that we have to say normative Islam, because now you have what? Liberal Islam, where everything is watered down. But in essence, it should just be al-Islam, right? But because it's how much has been tampered with and how much has been watered down, we have to mention what? Normative Islam, right? If it's not spoken about, my brothers and my sisters, don't be surprised tomorrow when your child is no different to all of these other children that we've seen or that we saw on the BBC and the Channel 4 saying, oh, she deserves to be in Al-Jannah, just after she died upon other than Islam. I'll tell you guys what happened the other day, my brothers and my sisters. In the month of Ramadan, I went to visit one of my friends in Leicester. He says to me, Muhammad, man, you don't know what happened today. I was like, what? He goes, my son came home and he said, Dad, in our re-class today we learned that there are many gods. There's a Hindu God, there's a Christian God, and there's a Muslim God, right? There's a lot of gods, Dad, right, that should be worshipped. This is not, brothers and sisters, something that I read in the books. This is my best friend telling me this. And he was like, oh no, my worst nightmare. So he sat him down and he began to talk to him about Islam, Tawheed, his Aqeedah as a Muslim, his creed, right? Began to break everything down for him and let him go, right? These are schools that we take our children to, and universities, my brothers and my sisters, that we might force our children to go to. We want them to get an education, and that's not bad, wanting our children to be educated. However, what I call these universities, my brothers and my sisters, are breeding grounds for kufr, shirk, feminism, liberalism, secularism, and of course the Rainbow team are extremely active, right? Extremely active. You walk into some of these universities, the first thing that you see is their flag. Again, I'm just quoting the reality. I went to university once upon a time, Loughborough University. I was doing civil engineering, right? And I would witness these Orientalists, my brothers and my sisters. And by the way, Orientalists are those individuals who learn our religion, not because they want to be guided, but so that they could target vulnerable Muslims who are uneducated, right? They don't have the tools to repel these doubts that they are bombarded with, and they are then what? Shaken to the core. You see them roaming around university campus targeting these vulnerable Muslims who are uneducated, right? They are unprepared, brothers and sisters. And then their aqeedah is shaken to the core, and he's now contemplating as to whether al-Islam is the truth or not. It's time, my brothers and my sisters, that we took our religion a lot more serious. Don't be surprised tomorrow if your son Muhammad or your daughter Fatima is walking into the house on the 20th of December holding a Christmas tree. Walks in and you're like, Muhammad, what are you doing? And he's like, Dad, what? What's the issue? Should it be surprising? It shouldn't. I'll tell you guys why. If we as a generation is uneducated, what do we expect from the next generation, my brothers and my sisters? Right? I can see there is a lot of young people here. You want to get married tomorrow. And after getting married, my brothers and my sisters, right, you want to have children. That excitement of getting married, khalas, it only lasts for a little bit. Just ask your dad and your mother. Huh? And then you're looking at the next big thing, right? Which is, I want to have kids. Huh? Person who's smart, my brothers and my sisters, he thinks long term about these kind of things. So what does he do about himself right now? He rectifies himself. So when your child comes home now with all of these doubts, you know what some parents do, brothers and sisters? They start beating their children. Or he'll bring the raqi, the guy who reads the ruqya. Oh, my son has a jinn. No, he doesn't have a jinn. He doesn't need someone to read Quran on him. He doesn't have a jinn, brothers and sisters. We just took him to these breeding grounds where he's become so polluted. Right? It's as simple as that. If we don't know, my brothers and my sisters, right, don't expect the next generation to know.